Hey, what's up mga kasunina? This time, we're going to discuss the last class of our topic in factoring quadratic trinomials. And we're going to discuss today the class 3 types of equation in that factoring. So listen to our series because we are finishing our topics in factoring. So I hope that all the grading students will watch this because this will be our first topic sa pasukan in our topics in mathematics. So what are the conditions under the class 3 equation? So bago muna tayo magsimula, shout out muna kay Christine Sobayco, kay Ate Jeanette, Miss Nikki Bascones, and Miss Sol Agabon. And of course, aking pinakamamahal at pinakamabait na estudyante kay Richmond for giving me his insights on how to make my edit good and better. Salamat na, and I hope na lumagutong vlogs ko at ng palitan ng araw ay makatulong rin ako sa inyo. So simulan na po natin ang ating topic sa araw na ito. Now, to begin with, what are the conditions of the equation under the class 3? Now, first and foremost, if we are dealing with third types or third class of quadratic equation, we are going to look at the third terms. So what will be on the third terms? The third term or terms should be negative, as you see in our screen, or see in our example in the screen. Then, what are the factors? The factors, of course, composed of one negative and one positive. And the roots are the roots, and the roots also composed of positive and negative integers. So to further discuss this, let's have our discussion on the board. Our first example is x squared minus x minus 6. So again, what would be the characteristic of class 3 equation? It contains the negative sign at its third terms. Here, 6 here is negative, so it falls under the class 3 condition. So now how are we going to factor this equation, this quadratic equation? So we know, so x squared, we're going to separate this one to x and x here. And we know that the factors of 6 can be 1 and 6, and the other one can be 3 and 2. Now, let us choose the best, or what we call the best factors. Now, if we're going to put 6 here, and 1 is here, so are we going to get the third term? So let's say 6 minus 1. That is 5. So, hindi siya pwede. It cannot be. So, the best factors that we're going to use here is 3 and 2. 3 and 2. Now, how are we going to assess, or where are we going to assess our positive and negative signs? So, as we said earlier, that the binomial factors of third class equation contains one positive and one negative. So, we're going to look at the middle term. The middle term is negative. So, this will be our clue how are we going to attach, or where are we going to attach the negative sign to these two binomial. Now, if the middle term is negative, let us look our factors 2 and 3. Now, which is higher, 2 or 3? Of course, 3. And since 3 is the higher number as a factors of 6 and as a factors of 6, so and the middle sign, the sign of the middle term is negative. So therefore, here this factors negative 3, and this will become positive. So whatever. So the determinants of positive and negative sign will be based on the middle term. Like for example, negative 3, here is negative 3 is the highest between 2 and 3. We attach the negative sign here because the sign of the middle term is negative. So that's how are we going to arrange, or that's how are we going to distribute the positive and negative sign for the binomial. So again, let us solve this equation. So this is x plus 2 is equals to 0, and x minus 3 is equals to 0. So x is equals to negative 2, and x is equals to positive 3. So the value of x can be, or the value of x is negative 2 and 3. Again, go back to our conditions. The last term should be negative. The two binomials contains positive and negative, and the roots contains negative and positive integers. Let's have now our next example. The next example is 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay, again, it contains the negative sign on, or the third term is negative, so it falls under class 3 equation. Let's factor this one. It should be like this one. So let's divide 2x, or separate this one, so it becomes 2x and x here. Now, what will be the factors of 3? So we're going to put 3 here and 1 here. And that's like 1. Factors of 3 and 3 is 1 and 3. Now, what will be the sign of the middle term? The sign of the middle term is positive. And what will be what is the highest number between 1 and 3? Of course, 3. So 3 here should be positive and 1 here should be negative. Okay. Checking this, we have here x, negative x, tapos plus 6x, and that will be 5x. Like this one. Negative x and 5x. So that's that negative x plus 6x, that's 5x. So after that, we're going to solve this one. This becomes 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So this is 2x is equals to 1. Divide both side by 2. Yan, 2. Cancel this one. X is equals to 1/2. On the other side, we have over here x plus 3 is equals to 0. So x is equals to negative 3. So the value of x is 1/2 and negative 3. That's it. So 1 positive and 1 negative roots, 1 positive and 1 negative binomial. Last term is negative. On to our third example, we have m squared minus 2m minus 35. So last term is negative, so it falls under class 3. So we're going to factor this one to this two quantity. Okay, so separate m squared, so it becomes m here and m here. Now, what will be the factor of 35? Of course, it's only 7 and 5, as obviously you can see at the middle side. 7, it should be 7 and 5. Now, what will be the sign of the middle term? It's negative. In which is higher, 5 or 7? Of course, 7. So the highest number will be inherit the sign of the middle term. This will becomes negative and this will becomes positive. Now checking by multiplying the inner and outer terms to get this negative 2m. We're going to multiply this one. So solving this one, we have here m is equals to, or m plus 5 is equals to 0. So m is equals to negative 5. Next, n minus 7 is equals to 0. Then n is equals to 7. So what will be the value of n? n is equals to negative 5 and 7. Okay? It follows again the conditions to 1 negative, 1 positive roots, 1 positive, 1 negative binomial, and the last term contains the negative terms of the last term.